Hello viewers, on today's news. South Korea showcased an arsenal of advanced weaponry in a military parade on Tuesday, rolling tanks and missiles down the streets of its rain-soaked capital. During the first event of its kind in a decade, the parade, held to mark the 75th Armed Forces Day commemorating the founding of the country's armed forces, comes against the backdrop of rising tensions on the Korean peninsula, as South Korea draws closer to the West and Japan against the threat of North Korea's accelerating weapons programs. The event kicked off in the morning with ceremonies and performances at the Seoul Air Base, where President Yoon Suk-yeol delivered an address warning Pyongyang against ever using nuclear weapons. If North Korea uses nuclear weapons, its regime will be brought to an end by an overwhelming response from the Seoul-Washington alliance, Yoon said, speaking in the rain. Later on Tuesday, North Korea's United Nations ambassador Kim Song claimed Pyongyang had been urgently required to further accelerate the buildup of its self-defense capabilities, saying the Korean peninsula was moving closer to the brink of a nuclear war. Speaking in New York at the UN General Assembly, Kim accused the U.S. of spreading its influence across the world, particularly across the Korean peninsula. The military parade, a first for South Korea since 2013, followed in the afternoon, with troops and military equipment rolling through the heart of Seoul. Passing by the City Hall and historic Gwanghwamun Square, the roads were lined with spectators. Several thousand South Korean soldiers and more than 300 U.S. troops marched during the event. According to the Ministry of National Defense, other performances included a military band, flag bearers, and mascots from each military unit. On display were a variety of homegrown equipment, including drones, tanks, and armored personnel carriers. Soldiers in vehicles waved to the crowd as they passed by. Several carriers had the South Korean flag affixed to the exterior. Parade and Yoon's presence helped portray South Korea to the Korean people that the country is now an important power on the world stage, a pivotal global power, as the current president calls it. He said, it also boosts public perception of the Korean defense industry, which is achieving remarkable. Yoon has previously stated his goal to make South Korea one of the world's top for arms exporters after the US, Russia, and France. While it's still a few places away in the rankings, the industry has grown rapidly, with $7 billion of defense exports in 2021. According to the Export-Import Bank, international intelligence has also suggested since last year that Pyongyang may be preparing to resume nuclear testing, with satellite imagery showing activity at its underground nuclear test site. Yoon, Biden, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida also held a historic summit in August, announcing new military exercises and a hotline for crisis communications. It marked the first time Biden hosted foreign leaders at the Camp David retreat in Maryland. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.